Welcome to the We Can Fix Climate Change podcast, where we bring the stories featured in our weekly Substack newsletter to life. In today's episode, we'll cover the largest climate strike ever, Biden's warning on global warming, the front page paradox of climate change, California's actions against greenhouse gas emissions, EU Parliament's renewable energy targets, and the Earth's exceeding of safe boundaries in 6 crucial areas. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay informed and inspired with our latest episodes.
The global fight to end fossil fuels spurred climate actions this last weekend. Did your favorite news sources convey how big an event this really was? Current estimates count a global turnout of 600,000 people in more than 650 actions across 60-plus countries on all 7 continents. Organizers estimate that more than 75,000 people marched in Manhattan and more than 24,000 turned out in Berlin. The climate actions were also in support of UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres' call for nations to make ambitious commitments to phase out fossil fuels at the upcoming Climate Ambition Summit, happening on Wednesday, September 20th. The Climate Ambition Summit is an opportunity for world leaders to show that they are taking the IPCC's warnings seriously and are committed to doing what is necessary to avert the worst impacts of climate change. The summit will focus on 3 key areas. First, ambitious national climate commitments. Countries will be asked to come to the summit with ambitious new climate commitments, in line with the goal of limiting global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Second, a just transition. The summit will also highlight the importance of ensuring a just transition to a clean energy economy, so that all people can benefit from the transition and no one is left behind. And finally, finance. The summit will also focus on mobilizing the necessary financial resources to support climate action in developing countries. Tune in next week as we dive deeper into what actually transpired during this crucial meeting, which is a prelude to COP28, the UN Climate Change Conference starting on November 30th in Dubai.
President Biden recently expressed his concern regarding global warming, describing it as more frightening than nuclear war. He emphasized the urgency of the situation, cautioning that if the global temperature increases by more than 1.5 degrees Celsius, within the next 10 to 20 years, there will be no opportunity for reversal. This statement by President Biden was made during a press conference in Vietnam, where he was attending a G20 summit.
In an article titled, "What to Do About Climate's Front Page Paradox," Christiana Figueres draws attention to the perplexing situation surrounding climate change. While the media consistently reports on the devastating consequences of extreme weather events caused by climate change, governments worldwide continue to falter in taking the decisive action required to address this crisis. To effectively tackle climate change and mitigate its impact, several key measures need to be implemented on a global scale. First and foremost, substantial investments must be made in all clean energy alternatives, including wind, solar, geothermal, batteries, green hydrogen, and green mobility. By turbocharging these investments, we can transition away from fossil fuel dependence and move towards more sustainable and environmentally friendly energy sources. Additionally, it is imperative to impose a global moratorium on all new oil and gas exploration and exploitation. Encouraging oil and gas companies to shift their business models will not only reduce harmful emissions, but also promote the development of cleaner and renewable energy solutions. Lastly, regenerating nature plays a critical role in combating climate change. Preserving and restoring ecosystems is crucial as they provide vital carbon sinks and support biodiversity, thereby contributing to a healthier planet. Figueres stresses that adopting these measures is indispensable in achieving the ambitious goal of net zero emissions by 2050.
The New York Times recently reported on 2 significant developments in California's efforts to address climate change. The first article highlights the passage of a bill by the California legislature that would mandate companies to disclose their greenhouse gas emissions. The proposed law goes beyond operational emissions and also includes indirect emissions, such as those associated with employee travel and the supply chain. If Governor Gavin Newsom signs the bill, It will apply to all public and private companies generating over $1 billion in annual revenue and operating within California. The second article focuses on a lawsuit filed by the state's attorney general against major oil companies, namely ExxonMobil, Shell, BP, ConocoPhillips, and Chevron. The lawsuit also targets the American Petroleum Institute, an industry trade group. California asserts that these companies, deliberately understating the connection between fossil fuels and environmental damage, have caused billions of dollars in harm. By holding them accountable for their actions, the state seeks to address the adverse impact of fossil fuels on the environment. Both these developments highlight California's continued commitment to combat climate change. The first article emphasizes the importance of transparency and accountability in tracking greenhouse gas emissions, while the second article reflects the state's determination to take legal action against those deemed responsible for contributing to the environmental crisis.
The European Parliament has recently approved a legislation that mandates member states to raise their proportion of renewable energy to 42.5% by 2030. As it stands, the average share of renewable energy across member countries stands at 22.1%, highlighting the considerable progress that needs to be made in order to achieve the new targets. It is worth noting that this law is not merely aspirational, but carries legal obligations. Member states are now bound by this legislation and must take concrete actions to increase their renewable energy capacities. In addition to setting specific targets, the law also emphasizes the importance of expediting the permitting process for renewable energy projects. This focus on reducing bureaucratic delays is crucial to encourage investment and facilitate the deployment of clean energy infrastructure.
According to a study published in the journal Nature Communications, a significant reduction in meat and milk consumption worldwide could have a profound impact on the environment. The study suggests that by replacing 50% of the global consumption of beef, chicken, pork, and milk with plant-based alternatives by 2050, it could effectively halt the ecological damage caused by farming, especially in regions like sub-Saharan Africa, China, and Southeast Asia. The research further reveals that such a dietary shift could lead to a substantial reduction of approximately 31% in agricultural greenhouse gas emissions by 2050. To put this into perspective, it would be equivalent to not burning a staggering 1.8 trillion pounds of coal annually between 2020 and 2050.
According to a recent study published in the journal Science Advances, scientists have uncovered alarming findings about the state of our planet. The planetary boundaries concept, devised by a team of experts in 2009, aimed to establish the safe operating space for humanity without causing irreversible harm to Earth's life support systems. These boundaries rely on a thorough understanding of the intricate interactions among various Earth systems, including the climate, oceans, and biosphere. For the first time, this study evaluates all 9 planetary boundaries simultaneously. The results are disconcerting. 6 of these boundaries have already been breached. These include climate change, biodiversity loss, land use alteration, nitrogen and phosphorus pollution, freshwater usage, and atmospheric aerosol loading. These findings must serve as a wake-up call to policymakers, industries, and individuals alike.
In today's episode, we explored the largest climate strike demanding an end to fossil fuels, the dire warnings from Biden about global warming, the front-page paradox of tackling climate change, California's actions against greenhouse gas emissions, EU Parliament's renewable energy requirements, the benefits of cutting meat and milk consumption, and the exceeding of safe boundaries for humanity in various areas. Thank you for tuning in to the We Can Fix Climate Change podcast. As always, don't forget to subscribe, share this podcast with your friends, and visit all our social media channels. And consider checking out our newsletter with more stories and links at wecanfixclimatechange.substack.com. Links are, as always, in the description box.